Epic sages, your home for adventure. Crafting worlds where your story's the center. Gear and tools for the brave and the bold. Your journey begins as the tale unfolds.
Step inside where the legends begin. Maps, dice, and stories, the magic within. Adventure in mind, we're here by your side. At Epic Sages, where heroes collide. Every campaign, every turn, every fight, we give you the tools, you shape the night. Epic Sages is where you find satisfaction. With adventure in mind and your own passion. We control the board, you control the action. Epic Sages, where legends find traction. From online to in-store, we've got what you seek. Gear for your quest, world so unique. Your heroes rise, we light the way. Epic Sages, your guide through the fray. No matter the path, no matter the game, your story is yours, we fuel the flame. Epic Sages is where you find satisfaction. With adventure in mind and your own passion. We control the board, you control the action. Epic Sages, where legends find traction. From your first roll to battles well fought, we give you the gear for the stories you've sought. At Epic Sages, the tools are designed with passion and care and adventure in mind. Your world, your rules, your epic tale. With Epic Sages, you will never fail. Epic Sages is where you find satisfaction. With adventure in mind and your own passion. We control the board, you control the action. Epic Sages, where legends find traction. We like the way you shape the venture. Epic Sages, your home for adventure. From online to in-store, we've got what you seek. Gear for your quest, world so unique. Your heroes rise, we light the way. Epic Sages, your guide through the fray. No matter the path, no matter the game, your story is yours, we fuel the flame. Epic Sages is where you find satisfaction. With adventure in mind and your own passion. We control the board, you control the action. Epic Sages, where legends find traction. We light the way, you shape the venture. Epic Sages, your home for adventure.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to tonight's show. We're jumping in right away with our fantastic 5.6, 5-6, whatever you want to call it. Fan the flames. How to bring passion out of your groups, or at least do better for passion in your groups. We're going to kick things off right away. I hope you guys like the new alternate music. But neither here nor there. I got to go down here and press the start the stage button so it stops blinking at me.
It was freaking awesome. It was crazy.
Thank you.
Love it.
I was going to say, at the end, you guys can hear the original, or you can pick one of my other fun songs. I've loaded a whole bunch of them in today.
Nice.
So, let's introduce our wonderful guests we got going on here. So, we're going to start from my left and move our way over. Starting with Nicole. Nicole, who are you? What do you do? Where can people find you? All that fun stuff.
Oh my goodness. Hello, I'm Nicole. I am a history teacher, so I'm super excited to be here. But I teach really unique history. I teach weird history. I teach dark history. I teach history that your children have to sign a waiver to take.
Nice.
Because real history, my friends, is not pretty at all. And so I don't teach the sanitized stuff that you might find in your regular school. So you find me on OutSchool, and I have been the top history teacher in the world for the past 2 years.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
I want to take some of your classes.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you like the serial killer vibe, or are you more into like weird experiments run by governments? Because, you know,
Yeah,
I cater to people's needs.
100%. Nice.
Wonderful. All right, the Lackeys. There's two of them in the same picture.
So,
All right, I just
there's
killed your
two,
last name.
yeah.
I apologize.
no, Lackey, that's right.
All right, good.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
And my teachers in school, even though they were English teachers, would still pronounce my name Lakey. And I'm like, literally, it's Lackey, and you're a teacher. But yeah, Lackey is correct. So I'm Rob, and this is Tosha. And we actually own a business called Bison. So bisontrack.com is our website. We sell motorcycle apparel, safety gear, mostly geared towards racing, but also street gear as well, and mostly custom gear. So it's really neat. We we get stuff you see racers wearing on TV. A lot of times they're in our gear, and it's a lot of fun and also a little bit stressful. But we have fun with it. So, and then Tosha is a CPA, and you can tell them what you do.
Yeah, and then I also have a consulting agency. I offer fractional CFO services and bookkeeping services. So, and
Caffeinated consulting.
yes, caffeinated consulting. And we actually, just another cute point, I guess. We spent the last 5.5 years on the road traveling full time in an RV with our 2 youngest children, building our business, the motorcycle one. So we're finally in a stable environment, not moving.
Literally stable.
Yeah, but that's
House. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you guys are in a stable spot, especially for the Wi-Fi, because it's already a challenge enough on this show. I swear.
Oh yeah.
And just one more time, where can people find you at? How do they get a hold of Bison besides just walking into any biking store?
Yeah, so bisontrack.com, Bison Track on pretty much some variation of that on every social channel. And then for me, it's caffeinatedconsultingllc.com.
Fantastic. And last but certainly not least, Micah, who are you? What do you do? All your fun stuff.
Hi, my name is Micah Yott. I'm an artist, I'm a writer, a speaker, a musician, and a carpenter. I like to pretty much dabble in any type of art or collaboration of art. I've written graphic novels. I'm working on an animation at the moment. Created a new superhero, so I'm building a universe for that superhero. Kind of like the DC, but it meets the Lovecraft style horror with superheroes. So it's kind of dark. The other passion I have is helping people. So I created essentially a process to help people transmute trauma into art. I use my process through a group called Push with Love. It's on Facebook. People are interested. Essentially, meet once a month just to help them. And I also am working on building a community for a nonprofit organization called All Range Combat, which essentially is a dojo that combines group therapy and sound healing with martial arts and weapons training. So that's something else that I'm kind of passionate about.
Well, fantastic. And in general, where can people find you? You got a lot going
I'm
on.
You can pretty much find me anywhere on social media. My name is MicahYott. So if you look that up, you can find me anywhere. And I have a website for my graphic novel if you're interested in that. It's thesilentscreams.com.
It's a great title, by the way. I don't know if you guys saw his
Yeah.
Facebook post, but his little thing it's on point. Younger, welcome in. Younger is our business partner. For those of you that haven't met him in person yet, he is being silent though with his little frog picture there. He'll pop up in a second when he's ready. All right, so we're gonna get into the swing of things. We're gonna start with Micah. Micah, the first question we like to ask everyone when we say the title of the group or the title of the episode, which is Fan the Fires, what is the first thing that comes to mind when I say the words Fan the Fires? What's first?
I would say inspiration. That's the word that comes up for me. So when I think of inspiration, I think of what fuels me or what fans my fire.
Okay.
And usually it's injustice.
Injustice.
That's what fuels me.
All right. Well, I mean, it's a motivator to say the least, and we'll get back to that because that's a great topic of conversation. Rob, what about you? Robert, sorry, I don't know. Do you have a preference between those two, shorthand, longhand?
Rob is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, Rob's fine. I'm an informal guy. When you just say fan the fires, first is just like accelerate, right? Like you're blowing something up and you're expanding something, right? You're fan the flame, boom, that fire's gonna take off. So yeah, whatever it is that makes that happen.
Okay, fantastic. Tasha, what about you?
Oh gosh. I mean, given context, I definitely think like, I'm personally really passionate about a lot of things. And so I'm also a redhead, so I could take this in a couple different ways, fanning the fire. But yeah, like some sort of passion or I don't know, excitement.
Okay, interesting. Excitement. Nicole.
Hello. So when you say fan the fire, I'm sorry. I know the topic is like fueling your passions and bringing out the passions of people around you, but my immediate thought was, "Ooh, do you know about the Great Fire of London and how
Yeah.
quickly it spread? And then it started in a bakery, and that they tried to blame other countries for it, and they started rounding up people and executing them for something they had not even been in town for." Like,
I didn't even know this. This is why I need to go to your classes.
I have an adult version on the Academy of Wonder. I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, that's a great historical touchstone. So we'll come back to that one too. Let's talk about younger wood dancer, but again, he'll show up when he shows up. Um, the when we're talking about the passions, right, for a D&D character specific. Oh, he's gone. He disappeared. I scared him off. um,
It's like, nope.
no, he said not today, fam. But that's okay. When we're talking about D&D characters and things, when we talk about passions, are specifically talking about what the characters are good at themselves, not necessarily the players, right? Which can be a whole different aspect of the conversation. But when you're talking about it in general, you're talking about what the players or the characters are very good at, right? Example being rogues are kind of your skill monkeys. They're good at just about anything that you put them to a task to. If you need them to be fighters, they can fight off pretty well. If you need them to pick locks or do arcane magic-y extra stuff, they can do that, right? Wizards are generally utility guys that support in the background, or they are heavy cannons. There's one or the other, right? And depending on how your players play them, they kind of jump around. If you want to be a generalist, the passions for a fighter is being good at a little bit of everything, right? A la Micah here. Uh, be good at all the stuff. You be good all the time. So, with that kind of as context for the rest of you, when you're looking at your own business, what is something that you are is what is the passion of your business, right? So we're gonna start with Tasha this time. Tasha, what is the passion of your business specifically? When you think of what you're
Oh,
really
I
good
like
at
to
and the thing that you go through,
Yeah.
what is your passion?
I'm going to talk about my business. I'll let you talk about Bison because
That's
that'll
cool.
work good.
Okay.
So for me, my passion is making sure that people have like usable financial data that they can like make operational decisions from. Because the problem is there's a lot of really bad bookkeeping and a lot of really bad accounting out there. And as a CFO, when I come in and try to do projections and budgeting and that sort of thing, it crap in, crap out, right? So if the data in the system is crap, my projections are going to be bad, and then I don't like it because it makes me look bad. Whereas, so now I'm like really passionate about like making sure that the data is in a good place to begin with, and then we can make really good projections.
Fantastic. Jumping down to Micah. What about you?
I would say mine would be education through entertainment. I think that would probably be the shortest way to put it. So I like to uh, find a way to create something fun or entertaining and have it teach or lead people into some type of new awareness.
Okay, fantastic. I like that. Jumping over to Nicole. Nicole, what about you? What is the passion in your business? What is the thing it is good at?
So, for the last 20 years, I've been playing a druid character of some kind. Um, so I'm kind of vibing with like the whole D&D intro here. So if I could talk a little bit about balancing and
Please,
business.
of course.
I like the idea that you can take a history story and you can balance the history with the fun, amazing stories of it. When we look at history, we're so bogged down in dates and like who the king is or who the queen is or who the emperor is and who they're fighting with, that you forget the stories of the little people and the people who make history happen. And I find when you connect students to those stories, that it's so much more impactful, that it's so much easier for people to connect and really find the love of the history through those stories.
Okay, I like that. One of my favorite things is the realization of personalization when listening to history stuff, where you're like, ah, man, that man liked fart jokes, hilarious. You know what I mean, and little things about that you might not know unless you get a detailed account of that person, right? Very rarely do we get to put any personality behind the people of our past, right? And they were all people, all of them, all of us are people. We get to continue pushing that forward. All right, Rob, what about you? What's the passion for your business for Bison?
Yeah. Well, so Bison we're very, like I said, a lot of customization, right? So one of our taglines is what's your Bisonality? So it's like your personality, but like we want when you're geared up. I like knights. I have a tattoo of a knight on my shoulder. I've always liked that. When you're geared up, it's like the closest thing you can get to a modern day knight, right? So you're masked up. Nobody knows who you are under this suit of armor, and you're on this mechanical steed, right? So, but your gear needs to speak to you for you, right? Just like a knight would with the decorations and all the stuff that's on the shield and the flag and the banner that your gear needs to speak to you. So, what's your Bisonality? We want to bring that out, and we get people excited about that, and we try to anyway. And one of the ways that we do that is explain to people that you don't have to look like the guy next to you when you're out on the racetrack or riding your bike on the street. Your gear can be completely unique and really speak for you, and just get people fired up about that idea. And we try to make it fun from start to finish. So it's an intimidating process because you have to take all the measurements. You have to find somebody to take the measurements. You have to think about the design. And honestly, the most intimidating part of the process, I always thought it would be the measurements, because you're like, oh, what if it doesn't fit? Well, it's actually the design part. People are like, I haven't ordered yet because I'm like, I have all your measurements. Why haven't you ordered? Well, I don't want it. I don't know how to design it. Like, I'm afraid it's gonna be ugly. I don't want something that's ugly. I have no artistic skill. And I'm like, no, it's cool. So we have, graphic designers on staff that are also motorcyclists and racers, and they know what's going to look good and what's not. Oh, okay. So just getting people excited about that and showing them that we can take the walls down and we'll assume all the responsibility. We'll make you look good. And the price point is really no different than if you just went to the store and bought something that looks like everybody else's. So getting people excited about that, and then creating a community in which it kind of happened organically. The name of our business is Bison, and people were like, "Oh, we quickly said, well, if you're wearing our gear, you're part of the herd." Just like, oh, we'll play off this thing, and it just like took off, and everybody's like, "Oh, I'm part of the herd," and like started a hashtag. We didn't start it; it was like join the herd, and all. We're like, "Oh, that's a good hashtag," and then organically we've had this community blossom up, the herd. That's pretty cool. So that's really helped get everybody passionate about our products and our brand.
I gotta warn you about that hashtag though. There's some bronies out there that use the same thing, so be warned.
Oh yeah,
Oh no.
I figure it's not. I've seen a couple others. Like if you click on it, like on Instagram, join the herd. There's some other things floating around in there. But
Younger, do you have anything to add on to this? You look like you had some thoughts. You're muted, friend.
My bad. Passion within the community. I think it stems from generally the people who are invested in our community are individuals who are in the TTRPG business. Or not business, but they love playing the games. Whether it be they started back in the 1970s whenever they were still playing Chainmail and the original Dungeons and Dragons were released, all the way to modern day where they're still just printing off a new edition for the same edition.
yeah,
Getting people excited to be able to play a character that they can actually have, maybe they can do things that they can't do in their real life. It adds to an additional layer of almost like a form of expression, of oneself. Like, you can do so much more in a video game, or so much more than you can in a video game, with a TTRPG, and so allowing people to go and express, like, oh, well, like, what would it be like to be a hero? Or like, I want to write a book. Okay, well, you can write a book with all of your friends while you're playing a game. That sounds pretty cool. The interpersonal relations, people get into the, like, oh man, this is awesome. I love building miniatures to have like different versions of my different characters or like, oh, these cool additions to it, all these dice and what they look like. Like, you only need one set of dice to play all of the editions of Dungeons and Dragons, and I can guarantee you, if you play Dungeons and Dragons, for any amount of time, it's probably going to have more than one. I definitely have like at least 30 plus sets of dice. Just, it's a cool little thing that you can share with your friends, and anybody else who's involved in the community. And we just try to, spread that joy and spread that passion,
Right on. And I agree
Sorry, I'm
wholeheartedly.
laughing because I'm like thinking about my drawer sitting over here filled with dice, and I'm going, boy, I wonder what the new Gen Con dice is this year.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. I was gonna say my desk is clean and I have 3 sets that I can see from my angle right here. To be fair, I used them this week. We were playing with some local kiddos at one of the schools, but that's besides the point. Jumping into the next question. When we're talking about getting people passionate about playing, right? From a D&D perspective, when we start getting people into their stuff, we have to find the things they like, right? Younger kind of touched on it, where they're, hey, are we crafting models? Is that how I get into things? Is it the interpersonal story? Is it just getting the big numbers when I whack somebody really good? Is it I get to do quippy quips whenever I want? Is it I have dice and I have a reason to use them? Or is it something completely unique? Like one of the things that I've done recently from personal experience is the silly songs that I make. Like that intro that you guys heard originally was something that I made. I've been doing those for the characters in our various campaigns for a couple weeks now, where I just make a song for a character and they get to, a themed song for their person. And that's been super passionate and a great way to explore something that I enjoy, right? I already enjoy making characters and telling stories, but I really can get into them now with this music that I make, right? That is very much an understanding of who we are jumping into with that, right? But that being the case, or being the question, do you guys have any ways that you bring out passions in your clients? I'm going to start with Micah at the bottom here. Micah, is there any way that you bring out the passions in the people you work with?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would say the one that I really enjoy is uh, just sharing personal and vulnerable ideas or stories, and then allowing them the space to do the same. And I feel like when that happens, it kind of allows us to go down the rabbit hole, so to speak, and kind of explore what we can't see, the blind spots in our lives, and become more aware of ourselves.
Those are always solid ways to get through to people, right? Not to hijack it too much, but like D&D does that really easily on accident. 90% of the time, you'd be talking about something, you realize, man, this is childhood trauma I didn't realize I was going through right now. This is some BS I didn't see coming. I'm crying now, rolling dice, killing a goblin. Some bull. But yeah, 100% being vulnerable is a huge way to get people passionate about what they're doing. So that's great to hear. Over at Nicole, what about you? How do you get people passionate about your history?
So first of all, that goblin probably did nothing wrong, and they are very discriminated against, and I'm a little offended right now.
All goblins
But
die.
moving
I'm
on
sorry.
from that, moving on from that, and your obvious anti-goblin established thinking here.
The slander.
Exactly. Someone else
Slander.
understands. Goblins unite. Okay. All right. So moving on from that, though, I like to bring the kids into the story as much as possible. So like when we talked about the escape attempts from Alcatraz and whether people lived or whether they died, I made it into a choose your own adventure. I'm like, here are all the different ways that people have tried to escape. Which one would you like to explore first? Oh, I'm so sorry. You died. In fairness, most of the people died in that class because there were very few successful escapes from Alcatraz.
Yeah.
So I may have been over game mastering that one where I knew what the particular endings were going to be, so I was a little bit railroading them. But there was a chance that they could survive. If they chose that one thing.
Shaking my head over here. How dare you give them the Dark Souls treatment?
Look, sometimes everything is a TPK. All right. Sometimes everything is a TPK. You just can't help it. That's like history in a nutshell. But whenever possible, I try to make it fun and interactive and go like, hey, you are part of this story. and let's see what you would do with it. You know,
Yeah.
you want people to choose their own adventures and be like more than just a passive participant.
Nice. You know, I think that really ties into Robert's customization. So I'm going to jump over to Robert. Robert, tell us how you get people passionate. You kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but kind of ping off that a little bit
That
more if
was
you would.
Yeah, I'm glad you segued right to me because I was basically going to go what she said, but motorcycles. So it's like, literally, it's like
Not death.
why? Yeah, we're not. Yeah, it's the opposite. No, but it's like, why would you go get? You're gonna go to the motorcycle store. You're gonna pay $1,000 for that thing that looks just like that other guy's thing everybody has, or you can give us $1,200 and we're gonna make you a fully custom one that looks like nobody else's. That's fit specifically for you. Everybody's going to know who you are when they see you, whether you're on the street or the racetrack. And they're like, oh, yeah, cool. Oh, it's only that much. People think it's way more money. And so our price point is great. And it just getting people educated on that just makes it happen. So educating people and relating to them like, hey, listen, I was a racer. And the reason this company started was I had sponsors. And all of a sudden my bike was these colors. And I wanted my suit to be that color with all these patches on it. But there was nothing in this price range. I could do everything I wanted that wasn't garbage. And I saw an opening, we went for it, and here we are. So, relating to people and then showing them that it's attainable. That's all it is. So
Nice. Tasha, what about you when you're working on your end of things?
I feel like mine's more on the dark side, like Nicole, but
Look,
I was like,
there are
We have cookies.
many
We have cookies.
so many ways to motivate people. Not all of them are positive. So let's hear it.
yeah,
no. Yeah, so I'll ask like business owners, entrepreneurs, I'll say, okay, what keeps you up at night, right? Like what is it that you're like laying in bed and you're, taking anxiety meds for or whatever the case may be? Like if you tell me what keeps you up at night, sometimes what you think is the issue, I can like figure out something else. Like I'm like, that's not really the issue here. Really, we need to look at, B and C instead of A. And so that's my favorite question to ask.
Fantastic. Okay. So asking the question is, what keeps you up at night? From a player exploratory bit, that's a great way to like mess with your players. Is hey, what are they afraid of? What can I throw in this encampment that's just gonna goof them up? They're like spiders.
Yep.
6 of them. Good luck.
Mm.
Act.
Exactly.
Go have fun pretending to be terrified to death. Because that's acting afraid, really hard to do. Being afraid, easy. Acting afraid, hard.
Yeah, that's true.
There's like some of the best scenes in movies. They actually like scare the people, right? So what was it like Indiana Jones where they had the skeletons? I know the actors didn't know that skeletons were actually going to be there, and I don't know. Saw a thing about it, and I'm like, that's why they're so good in that scene.
Yeah.
Like,
They were actually terrified for their life.
yes.
Yeah.
Younger, anything to add on this one?
We're talking about motivation.
Motivation.
Outside of our current business, when I was in the Army, there are 2 things that motivate people greatly. Well, you've already tapped on one: fear of repercussion, primarily. Negative consequence. And the other one, though, that's less bad, is hope. Giving hope to people. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Like, you have the potential of not being punished or not suffering nearly as much as you will if this task doesn't get done. So if it gets done, maybe there's a benefit to you as an individual outside of just the fear of reprimands.
I love
Nice.
that you say that because 100%, that was like 90% of my Army career was just, if we do this right, we won't get goofed up.
Yep.
The life of an ammo specialist, just hoping not to blow up. Don't crash the go-kart, you're good to go. Micah, you look like you had some additions onto what Younger said. You got anything for us down there?
No, I just absolutely agreed with the fear aspect and fear and hope. I think that's probably the fun part is scaring people, because that's essentially what I do for myself with my my writing for my graphic novel series, is just try to figure out another form of fear for myself so that I can create something scary and new, and then create some sort of hopeful way to overcome it. So that's what I do on my spare time, essentially.
Gotcha. That's a good way to go about it, though, right? Is figuring out what scares people so you can alleviate that fear and or cause more of it, right? Because it's powerful in its own right. Fear mongering is a thing for real, right? On basically anything you put it in, it motivates people real good. But let's jump away from the scary for a second and talk about the semi-spicy. Wahaha! Well, you're gonna use the word passion without talking about passion. How do you guys throw passion into your businesses, right? What is something that makes it passionate, something that produces something that is exciting and powerful? I'll start with ours just because I can. Younger, feel free to add in on this. Is the simple, right? Classic romance options, right? Whether that's an NPC or between players. What are the fun things when you're playing at players with people? Sometimes you play with couples and they're all being goosey together, right? It could be as simple as they like each other and they flirt the entire time, or it could be as serious as they're a married couple at the table and in the game, right? All that can be fun, right? Depending on how far you cut it off at your table. But that's an easy way to get passion, is taking real life passion and just transmuting it into silly characters to play with, right? Because sometimes you just need an excuse to flirt with someone you like. Oh no.
No.
Younger, any additions to that one before I move to next person?
Not yet.
Okay, he's thinking. We'll get back to him. Let's start with Rob. Rob, what about you? When you're talking bikes, how do you make it passionate?
It's really easy in our industry for bison on the bison side. Like, people are already passionate. When they come to us, they're already excited generally. I mean, motorcycling is something that you do to escape from every day. And, like, it's the one thing that we commonly hear: once I get on a motorcycle, it's the only time I don't think about all the BS in my life, right? So when they come to you for something, they're already fired up. And so all we need to do is just fan the fire, right? And just show them, like, hey, we're here, we can relate to you, and we want to help make you something that's completely unique to you. And it's super simple. So
Fantastic. All right, jumping over to Nicole.
Well, for me, I meet kids kind of where they are. So depending on their age group, like my younger kids, I'm not gonna go and say, "Hey, let's talk about cannibalism today," and these big experiments that the government did. I'm gonna be like, "Hey, we're gonna explore this mystery of this giant crater that formed out of nowhere," and or we're gonna talk about why did they discover skeletons in Benjamin Franklin's basement. Was he a serial killer? Like, so I take it, and whatever I'm talking about, I try to turn it into a mystery or an adventure to be gone through. Like, I started off with like this opening, like, hey, what do you know about this thing already? And they're like, oh, not enough. And they have to go on this adventure with me for the next hour. And by the time it's over, they're like, oh my gosh, how can it be done already? We just started. I'm like, no, guys, it's been like 55 minutes and I have another class. So, you find what makes them excited, and then you take this thing that may not normally be exciting and you put it in that space. So, like, I'm thinking of Tosha and, how do you take accounting and make it exciting? And you're like,
me, 'cause I have to go after you.
I can save you money. Would you like to pay less taxes? Would you like the IRS not to audit you? Yes, I would. So you find what gets them excited, and then you fit it into the framework of the thing that you're doing. So, I have my kids who love mysteries, and I have my kids who like really creepy stories. So I might be like, have you ever heard the story of Doll Island? Do you know about how all those dolls got there? Do you know about, by the way, did you know that there are spiders that just crawl out of the dolls' mouths? Like, whatever creeps them out. And then the older kids, they're actually craving, longing for the real history that they know they are not getting.
yeah.
They are longing for the truth. And so that's what I give them. I give them what they're longing for at their age group. And that's how I bring the passion out. I meet them where they are and what their needs are.
Well, good. I'm glad you don't use the other passion with the kiddos. That's an important distinguisher. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you said that question. I was like, well,
Jumping down to Micah.
Yeah. The passion. How do you pull passion out of people? Well, what I like is overcoming something that might seem insurmountable or slaying like the metaphorical giant. I feel like that really pulls the passion out of people, really gets them amped up. So if you can imagine putting somebody in a position where they have to face something that's inside of them that is like, the boogeyman or whatever to them, and then you kind of let them be in the dark and just face it alone. You don't necessarily leave them or abandon them, but you let them face it by themselves. And then once they overcome it, you are right there to kind of congratulate them, and it makes them feel like $1,000,000.
Nice. I like that. I like that a lot. There's a
I
lot
got
of
something
power.
now.
Okay, we'll get to you last. Tasha.
Good. I'm tired of going after Nicole. She's super fun and exciting, and then it gets to me. Let's talk about accounting.
You're fun and exciting.
No, I think I'm, just kind of speaking of the same thing of like getting people back to what they like, why they originally started their business. Like, if we can alleviate this stress, which is, the mundane, boring accounting, bookkeeping, taxes, all that stuff, like, let us handle that. Let's then focus you on the things you love to do so you can do more of it. And actually, I was sitting here thinking, my favorite client of all time was my own husband.
I was just gonna say, I was like, hey,
because I'm like, he was racing motorcycles, and in walks CPA and says, hey, this is really expensive. How do we make it a tax deduction, right? So that's how it started. But then it gets to the point where it's like, okay, you love being at the track, you love talking to people, you like creating videos, you like writing blogs, you like doing all these things. So how do we create this business that's scaled to the point where you can just do that? Not just, but like you can focus on just those couple of things. And now we're actually finally there. We have a whole team that like operates. Orders come in, they go out, we don't touch them for the most part. And Rob gets to write blogs and write videos and hopefully ride at the track more this year.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So, jumping over to Younger to get his last thoughts before we jump on to the next silly question. What you got?
So I think a way for passion to grow, whether it be like within the TTRPG and the characters and their success, is providing opportunity for people to succeed, right? Like you don't really know, like a lot of people don't realize their passion until they have been exposed to it, right? And it might be something that's difficult to overcome. Other times it might be something that just comes easily to you, but you would have never known that you had a passion for it until you had dipped your feet in the water, before you actually grabbed that tool and like attempted it, right? And most people aren't generally very good at whatever they start at the beginning, but was it fun, right? Like even me, myself, like getting into the TTRPG stuff, when I was introduced, I was the most hesitant. I was like, going around and hanging out with a bunch of dudes sitting around a table with paper, that sounds really boring. Okay? That does not sound like a good time at all. Was invited by a friend, came half begrudgingly. And it turned out it was like, oh, it's a decent time. Like we had a barbecue, got to hang out with a few people, interact like outside of the game. And then I kind of watched and I was like, this is kind of like my favorite video game, but you guys get to control the characters way more than any video game allows you to. I was like, well, I'll try it. And now here I am, like a decade later, knee deep in it, and I got like hundreds of ancient modules in my house, because of the passion that I grew for it, and now there's a small business added on, and it's crazy. It's crazy. And I would have never known. I was a whole adult before I got exposed. And I would have never known if I had never just like taken my buddy up on the opportunity. And now here I am. So sometimes it's that simple.
Yeah, I mean, just as a speaking point, is sometimes it's really good to just introduce your friends to the things you enjoy, right? Whether they're begrudging or not, you never know if they're gonna catch the fever, catch the fire, catch the passion. Wah ha ha. And one of the other ones kind of on that is it's crazy how often in the TTRPG space you go from someone that doesn't really want to do much of anything. They're kind of just there. They're playing the simplest character they can. You know, they just show up for the one thing that they sound excited for. Combat is usually it, right? I want to bonk things on the head and call it good. That's all I care about. I'm going to be on my phone the rest of the time. I'm not going to role play. All I do is roll dice when someone says, "Hey, roll your dice." It is crazy the amount of players that start at that space, and by the end of their first story or a couple sessions in, they are role playing. They are into their character. They are a whole different person, right? And there's a physical change to them, right? Like even outside uh, where they were, younger. Great example. Younger didn't say 7 words to anybody whatsoever until after going through the D&D stuff, right? That man stuck to himself, did his business, moved on, right? Younger now is one of the friendliest people I know. I'm gonna take all the credit for it, but there's a lot of credit to be had there. But jokes aside, there is a noticeable difference when you get people into those spaces, right? When they find a passion that they love, it really does change you, right? And it's one of those fish climbing trees situation where you just don't know what you're good at till you try it. Um, and it's something to push forward to. Now, to kind of segue into the next segment here, sometimes fanning the fire goes wrong. You talked about the fires in London already, which was a great example. But sometimes you just let things get too hot, too passionate, too much energy. And so I gotta ask, how do you guys cut that down when it gets to be too much, right? When people start freaking out or getting too hype or too excited about what they're working on, right? They're diving too deep into things. They're going off on the bad end of the passionate stuff. Because as we said, sometimes fear is a good way to motivate people. Well, sometimes it motivates them way more than what you need, right? So we're going to start with Tasha, because Tasha, you have requested not to go before Nicole. Wahaha.
After Nicole.
You're right. Sorry.
No, you're good. I was trying to think about this. So I think, I think it's easy for me to help like free someone up to want to do the fun parts of the business, right? Like making sure that they're set up correctly and they now can focus on what they're really passionate about, but I can't forget about the fundamentals, right? So sometimes they're like, okay, I'm off on not La La Land or wherever, and they're like, well, taking money out left and right to do this and that. And it's like, wait, hold on. Have we checked our cash flow? Have we done this? Like, so I think you get people too excited about the potential, the opportunities that are out there. And then they forget about, wait, you have to pay taxes at the end of the year. You have to do this. You can't take all your money on. So you just kind of have to get them back to the basics and remind them that you still have to have that like stable foundation to be able to do the fun things that you want to do.
Solid. That's you're talking right at me. I'm over here getting exciting stuff, which we'll talk about at the end of this. But jumping down to Micah. How about you? How do you curve passion?
I find that when people are kind of amped up and you need to kind of settle them down a little bit, the best way is to just be an example of calm, like a very steadfast calm in the midst of the chaos, and try to kind of get their attention. That's pretty much it. Just try to let them know that you're there and you're listening.
Gotcha. Okay, so being an example, that's a powerful way to put people on track, right? Is the hey, look at me. Great. Now, silly question. Going into your martial arts stuff that you talked about, right? People get passionate when they fight, right? How do you keep that in check when you're dealing with those situations?
Yeah, that is a good question, because people do get kind of amped up when they're fighting, and it's usually from fear. They're getting anxious. They don't really want to get hurt, and that's understandable. I know for myself, when I first started, just the idea of getting hurt kind of kept me from doing it. So I think that's the first step, is just kind of getting comfortable and getting calm and being okay with getting hurt a little bit. We actually are very durable people. We just don't realize it because, as Younger said, you don't know until you are exposed to it. And once you're exposed to it, you're like, oh yeah, I can get punched in the face and it's still okay. It's not that bad. So I think that's really it. Just easing into it.
That's a great way to put it. You can get punched in the face. It's fine. As long as as long as things don't go real wrong, real fast, life is good. I don't know if anyone else went through combatives, but that's exactly how that was. You just got to learn to take a hit every once in a while so you can do things. But that aside, jumping into Rob, what about you? How do you kill the nitrous, cut the passion?
Man, for me, so in our industry, especially with custom gear, there are a lot of opportunities to go wrong. You're taking 32 measurements, you're building something in a two-dimensional, art setting, and then sending it to a factory overseas that's going to make it into a real life three-dimensional garment using all 32 measurements, all these colors, the specific color codes and Pantones and such. And then you have to get it, and it has to be the right colors, it has to be the right logos, and it has to fit properly. And there, as you can see, there's a lot of different ways for that to go wrong. And then there's shipping and customs and lots of things that can happen that are outside of our circle of influence. So a lot of opportunity for somebody to get amped up from the 60 days that they give us, $2,000 to the time that they actually receive their stuff at the door. And if it's not right, then we will frequently get somebody that is just on the ceiling immediately. And one of the things that has made us successful in our opinion is our level of customer service. And so I come from the automotive industry. I was in the automotive industry for 20 years in service, and nobody likes to take their car to the service department. That's not something you wake up in the morning and like, cool, I'm going to get an oil change or to get my car fixed. So when people show up, they're already anxious and upset. And again, lots of opportunity for things to go south quickly. It's just a matter of listening. Like Micah said, just listening, like letting people vent, letting people get things off their chest, and then relating to it. Empathy goes a long way. Like, I understand exactly why you're upset. I would be too, And when we started this company, the first custom suit that I got from a company didn't fit me at all. And I'm like, well, I'm out $1,000. Like, that company's overseas. There's nobody here in America to help me. I just don't have the money. And with us, we guarantee it. And so just listening to people and saying, listen, I know you're upset. I've been in this boat before. However, we have a fitment guarantee. You went through our steps and did the thing. We're going to take care of you. So just give us 4 more weeks. I know it's more time, but we're going to assume that expense and take care of you. Just bear with us. And I'm sorry you're upset. And, and then people say, okay, cool. Thanks for listening to me. Sorry I was upset. Like Micah said, just listening to people and just a little bit of empathy, it goes a long way.
So I have a kind of a follow-up question, specifically in the customization realm. How do you dissuade people from stupid designs? Or do you kind of go with the everything's good, right? The customer is always right. How do you guys handle that?
It's a great question. So we do have, like I said, we have gear customization specialists on staff, and they're professional graphic artists, but they're also motorcycle riders. And so they'll try to pump the brakes on people. And they'll say, listen, I know you want the Ducati suit, which is Italian flag, red, white, green, but with as much green as you have and as much red and as little white, you're going to look like a Christmas elf. Like, you don't want this much green and red. You're going to want more white. Well, I don't want white because it gets dirty. This is a literal story that happened, and I'm going to tell you. And then the guy gets his suit and then posts on Facebook and is like, I got my suit. Do you guys think I look like an elf? And everybody says, yep, you look like an elf. And he's like, oh, I shouldn't have done this. And then he's upset. And we're like, hey, here's the time that we told you were going to look like an elf. And you said, no, you wanted this green suit with the red trim. So we try to dissuade people. And some of our competitors, they'll put you in a box. They'll say, these are the 3 templates that you get, and you can change these colors. They try to keep you from going overboard, but we don't do that. We're like, what's your personality? Is it crazy? Is it tie-dye? Like in Galaxy unicorn prints, the Nyan cat, the toaster cat, we've done that. Rainbow legs, like crazy stuff. But for better and for worse, that's what we're known for. And so there's some ugly bison suits out there, but the people that have them are generally very happy with them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're gonna put an Nyan cat on your bicycle stuff, you need to you commit. You're ready for that bit the entire time.
Brooke, we made a suit that looks like a flannel shirt with assless chaps. Like there's a cartoon butt,
Perfect.
and it looks like chaps. And when this guy's on his motorcycle tucked, it looks like his butt's hanging out.
Perfect. All right, that's a way to distract the opponents. They're not ready. If you're in first place, you're gonna win guarantee because second place just liar.
Yeah, you'll be distracted.
Perfect.
That's great.
Nicole, jumping over to you.
I mean, how do you follow the passion of the butt hanging out? I mean, just saying.
Yeah.
Bringing the passion there, bringing the passion. So, kids are invincible, right? They have this idea that nothing can hurt them. So one of the things that I actually have to teach them to do is to know their own personal boundaries because look, I do not teach the average history course. Like it's dark. Sometimes it's really dark. Sometimes it's babies being drowned in the rivers dark or being thrown down wells dark. Like it's dark. So I start out every class with a list of trigger warnings. Like these are the things that we're specifically going over in this class. If you're looking at this list and you're feeling your heart race and you're starting to feel sweaty or you're starting to go, I don't know if I can stick through this one, then don't. Don't. Your life's not going to end if you miss one class. Your life is not going to be irreparably damaged because you didn't learn this one piece of history. Come back to a class that's a little bit better for you because your mental health is important, because who you are is important, because I don't want you to be having nightmares tonight and, having panic attacks tomorrow and seeing a therapist next week because you stayed for this one class that ended up dealing with foster care and you went through foster care, or it was about sexual abuse and you went through that. So one of the things that I have to convince kids of doing is that they can leave. They can opt out. They can take care of their own needs first. They don't need to explain it to me. They don't need to tell me why they're leaving. I'll just send them a refund after class. I don't ask any questions. I'm just like, you did an amazing thing. You made sure that you are okay. And that's something you have to teach them, that it's okay to do, because when you think that you're invincible, you don't realize how words and stories and ideas can cause you damage that can last. And so I have to teach them, like, you are valuable enough to take care of. So, it's a different way of looking at this passion, but they could force themselves. I've had kids force themselves to stay in classes they should not have stayed in. I've had kids vomit in class because, have I mentioned my class is a little dark? Like,
Yeah.
it's happened.
Wow.
It's happened. So I can just mention this one particular serial killer and I'll have a kid go like this in class anytime I mention it because she knows exactly what I'm talking about. She's like, oh, that was the worst class I ever stayed through.
Oh man.
So yeah, that's where I take that, is like, how do you teach people to care for themselves? And I have to do that. I have to do that.
It's great that you bring that up because that's something we do in our stuff quite often, right? Start of every group, we do a session 0 or generally sometime that's a, hey, is there anything you guys aren't okay with? Things where you want to draw the hard line, that kind of stuff, right? And that's a pretty prevalent bit of TTRPGs nowadays, right? Is having some kind of safety list or checklist or X list or whatever people want to call it, right? Because, you call it some things and people get very upset about using it, whatever, right? But it's just making sure that your friends are okay when they're playing with you, right? Because 99% of the time, DMs, GMs just want to have fun. They don't want to hurt their people's feelings. They don't want to get them upset. Like you said, they want people to take care of themselves and be in a good place when they're in these positions. So having those questions asked is an important bit of storytelling these days, right? Because you don't know what battles people are fighting, right? And it changes week to week, right? Bad things happen, unfortunately, and stuff can change, right? So being able to, as a TTRPG player, be able to talk to your players and be like, hey, does you look like something happened? Do we need to change things? Do you need to step away? Those are important things as a GM that you should step up and do. Younger, before we end this, do you have any thoughts on the matter before I continue rabbling? Wahaha.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna hit off of a portion of what Micah had said. Having somebody when there's passion or fear, anxiety, or any heightened emotion, especially within the military. I had the luxury of working for some of definitely the most toxic individuals I could have possibly ran across during my first stint of my career. And so I can undoubtedly say that my personal experience within the military and like how bad a situation could be was rather elevated over the average soldier. So then I had the actual luxury of going to a place where it was normal and there was like some level of positive influence and things like that. And I interacted with soldiers, and just being like they are overwhelmed by whatever the circumstances, and then being able to like look them in the eyes and be like, hey man, I got through something that was way worse. It is not impossible. We can do this together. I'm here. We're leading the charge. We're doing what we got to do. And just having someone there who looks or thinks or actually is, able to complete the task, or even just like face down adversity whenever it seems overwhelming is a huge motivator, a huge inspiration, and it can get people to go way farther than they ever thought was possible if they did not just have that little hint of like, oh, this person has their mind in check. That means that we still have a chance. We can still pull through this. We can still do what we need to do. Like I can, or like reacting to a car crash, like some people are going to be freaking out. It's like, oh my God, this person's dying, right? And you have one person who knows how to take care of themselves or take care of other people in an emergency situation. Like some of those people, they're like, okay, my loved one's being taken care of, right? Like they're in the hands of like professional medical personnel. They're trained for this. They're not freaking out. Maybe I don't have to freak out, just, I thought that was an important thing to drop on. On a much lighter note, within the TTRPG space, players get super passionate about things like character creation and like what they want to do, and going way outside the realms of what is like feasibly possible. Somebody's like, I want to play as a dragon, and I want to do all this crazy stuff. And it's like, whoa, man, whoa. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm just saying that if you want to do that, you should be the dungeon master and create an NPC monster character so that your players can fight it. And then you don't have to worry about the balancing issues as much.
The great solution.
So just steering them in the right direction of that passion. Be like, hey, it's okay. You don't have to necessarily make a character right now. You can just make a non-player character that has all of those things that you dream of having. And you can turn it into a villain or into an ally of your PCs. Like, and it's beautiful.
Or ugly. Sometimes it'd be like that. But jumping into, we are at the hour mark, so we gotta wrap it up so you guys aren't here all night. As much as I appreciate having all of you around, I'm sure some of you want to sleep. So we're gonna jump into final thoughts. Again, tell us what you do and all that fun stuff and where to find you. So first things first, everyone, final thoughts, starting with Micah.
Final thoughts. I would say I love the passion and the energy of the group here. And I love how we all are just on the same page as far as following what you are passionate about and encouraging others to do the same. So if you can take anything from this, it would be to go towards the thing that scares you because it's worth it. And if you need to find me, again, I'm on social media, Micah Yott, and silentscreams.com.
Easy peasy and lemon squeezy. Robert! And Tasha, if you guys want to combo it, whatever you want. Wahaha.
I was say thank you for having us on. This is an awesome group. I'll definitely be following Nicole and Micah, and I would follow you guys. So yeah, it's awesome. And I would just say, again, going back to the negative passion of the group, right? The empathy thing. I think we are in a time right now where empathy is being kind of downtrodden and downplayed. And it's important to remember that empathy is important, and listening to one another and taking care of one another, very important. Stay positive. So that's really my final thought there.
Stay positive is always a positive thought.
Yeah.
Tasha.
You got anything?
Was that me? Sorry. I was
Yes.
waiting on the prompt. I didn't get a prompt, Brooke. Come on.
I'm sorry. I'm
No.
not. I'm not chat. I'm not chat.
No. I just think, from my world, it's not a lot of people are passionate about accounting and finances and numbers, and that's okay. I think finding partners that are passionate about the things that you're not passionate about so that you can focus on the things you are passionate about. That was a lot of uses of the word passionate, but all
All on
important
point.
and relevant.
Right. They were all well used.
So, yes. So you can find me at Caffeine Consulting LLC if accounting is not your thing that you're passionate about.
Or if you just need a little extra help, because sometimes you run out of time.
Yep. Also that.
All right, Nicole. Last but not least on the list here.
Oh, fabulous. So I guess the one thing I didn't talk about at all is really the fact that my students are unique, amazing humans, and that if you're someone who is looking for teachers who are inclusive or compassionate or who work well with ADHD or kids who have autism or kids who are dyslexic, like we're out there. We specialize in your kids. Like we bring education to a level where they're excited about it week after week after week. And they wake up and they're like, oh my gosh, do I have history today? And you'll be like, is this my child? Like, who are you, little alien child? What did your teacher do to you? Like, we're out there and we're findable. And I specifically, if you're looking for amazing history classes or Five Nights at Freddy's for those weird, nerdy, gamey kinds out there, you can find us through the Academy of Wonder or on OutSchool. Just look for the top history class. And you will come across us because we have amazing teachers who are so well trained and so passionate and so amazing and that love all kids. All kids, all flavors, all styles and shapes and colors and genders and affirmations. We like them all. Bring them our way. I can always keep talking, man. I can tell you about the Dungeons and Dragons class I ran. I can talk about the kid who was lost. Well, they thought that he was buried in the basement of the college campus because they thought Dungeons and Dragons was evil and demonic. I can tell you how chess, they thought that, chess was a way to summon demons because it was created by the Muslims. Like, I can go on forever. If you don't stop me, I'll just keep talking.
are great on that note. But to jump over to our stuff, we do have a couple exciting things this week for our things. First, Younger, you want to tell them the 10% off code for the website?
No, because I don't remember.
Oh, come on, it's still March.
Lucky?
No, you done failed. It's left, right, left, because it's March.
So funny.
Anyway, left, right, left, get you 10% off basically everything on the website. Speaking of the website, we got a new section coming soon. Speaking of customizations, you boys have picked up a laser, and we're gonna start lasering everything and everything. So, keep an eye out for that. It should be exciting and fun, and we'll see how it goes. But expect a video in the next however long of me opening it up and crying real man tears about. Jumping over to things coming up this next week. We don't have any fun events this weekend, so we're just chillaxing. I think our next event isn't until next month. But we do have D&D and Power Rangers this week. Power Rangers on Monday will be the season finale. Not that we're really doing anything crazy for season 2. It's starting to schedule as per the usual. We're not taking a break like we did with Star Wars. And then we have D&D on Wednesday, run by Younger. We'll be starting session 2 over there with him, so see his havoc that he causes. And then, is there anything else I'm missing, Younger? Oh, LARP Swords.
I think you covered all the Yes, we have swords now.
We have
So you
swords
can
now.
your children can beat other children, or adults can beat other adults.
Only downside is we're not
Big deal.
shipping them yet because their goofy sizes and shipping is terrible, as we said at the very beginning of this.
Yeah.
Tired of shipping already. Rabble, rabble, rabble. Anyway, with all that said, with adventure in mind, have a wonderful time, and we'll see you next time. Stick around for the music, all of you guests, and we'll have our after review for everyone watching. Enjoy. Oh wait, before we go, sorry. Song. I uploaded a ridiculous amount of songs that did not get selected by my characters, so I need you guys to pick a number between 1 and 20, and I'm going to average whatever number that you guys pick.
We're mathing?
We're mathing.
I
Don't
picked
worry,
5.
I'll do the math. All right, 5, easy.
8.
8, okay.
16.
16, bringing the number up.
1.
How,
Bringing the
you-
number down.
You son of a gun. All right, did I miss anyone? Everyone get their numbers? Was that 4 or 5? 5, okay. All right. So we got 2 5s. That's steadying it out. Thank you, I appreciate you. All right, now I get a count over here. 1. Okay. All right. I like this one, but
We don't know which one you're picking.
I
so
know
if you don't like it,
you just gotta live with it. This one just one of
You
the
got
new
the
ones.
Dungeon Master screen up. You could just fudge the rolls, man.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. No, it's this one.
That was definitely that number.
To work the fields, hand stained with earth and toil. Sow the seeds, call the rains, turn the dust to fertile soil. But when
Imagine
the
Dragons
dark
under-
clouds gathered and the war drum shook the land, a voice like thunder called me, placed a sword within my hand. Now I march with the dawn, hear the hymn of the sky. I was only a farmer, but he made me rise. By the plow, by the blade, by the fire in my veins, I will stand, I will fight, I will bear heaven's name. I was called from the earth, given strength, given light. I was only a farmer, now I burn in the night. Once I walked behind the oxen with the sunrise at my back. Now I face the coming darkness with a shield that bears no crack. Every scar upon my body, every prayer upon my tongue is a vow to all who suffer. I will not let them be undone. Now I march with the dawn, hear the hymn of the sky. I was only a farmer, but he made me rise. By the plow, by the blade, by the fire in my veins, I will stand, I will fight, I will bear heaven's name. I was called from the earth, given strength, given light. I was only a farmer, now I burn in the night. If I should fall, then let me fall where the wheat once grew so high. Let my soul return to the fields, let my spirit touch the sky. But if I stand, then I will stand till the last dark beast is slain. For I was born to raise the harvest, now I reap in holy flame. By the plow, by the blade, by the fire in my veins, I will stand, I will fight, farmer, but he made me rise.